Hello, everybody from Sims Nation. Today, I am bringing you the new honest reviews by me, Seth Sims, all right, on YouTube. This is going to be fun because it's my first time. First of all, I'd like to say this is absolutely amazing opportunity, and I'm going to be doing more. This is actually going to be the first of, hopefully, I think 5 that I want to do. Mainly because we are starting with one of my all-time favorites. I'm going to say this maybe 3 times out of the 5. One of my all-time favorites, Transformers by Michael Bay in 2007. Why am I doing this one? Because I am the craziest Transformers fan you could possibly know at Sims Nation. My dad has 2 cool figures right here from the movie. Absolutely amazing. I have my own from later movies. They're absolutely amazing. I also have the original toys. Absolutely amazing. And overall, I'm absolutely crazy over Transformers because not only the movies, I also have something from almost every single TV show and maybe year. I mean, I also have the original. That's pretty cool. It's older than me, which is crazy. You'd think I'd not be able to own something older than me, but I do. I own multiple things. So, knowing that, let's get into our Transformers 2007. Now, first, I think we should start with IMDb ratings. Do I know what that stands for? No, I just know it's a company that puts out movies and rates movies. So, IMDb gave it a 7.1 out of 10. I'll get into the other ones because I'll say what I want after the other ones. Second, we have Rotten Tomatoes giving it a 57%. Pretty low. And Letterboxd gave it a 3.3 out of 5. Not bad, I don't think. But, I mean, Rotten Tomatoes gave it the worst out of all of them. But I honestly think these do somewhat make... Rotten Tomatoes doesn't. The others kind of make sense. This was... this was when everybody had just finished getting into Transformers based on other shows and all that, and we just had animated come out as well, and everybody's kind of expecting almost this G1 style Transformers, just, live action. It's going to be Optimus Prime, big, bulky, blocky Optimus Prime. No, it is not. In fact, it's almost the opposite. They're pretty much walking metallic skeletons. These are totally different from what you expect. Now, is it bad? No, just only bad because people didn't expect it. As we get into later movies, they will get better after the second one. People hate the second one for some reason. I don't know why. I think the third one's also less. Somehow the fourth one did better. I don't know why. But the comfortableness of the characters definitely got better over time, but that's mostly what took this down in a public opinion. So, on to our budget. We had roughly a $175 million budget. Not the most compared to a lot of movies. You'd be seeing, closer to billion-dollar costs in movies now. This is pretty cheap, and especially for how well it looks, definitely not what you'd expect, especially since one of the greatest facts I love about this, they built Optimus Prime from scratch. Yes, Michael Bay did not buy the semi-truck that they used in the movie, and they actually went out and took multiple scrapyard semi-trucks and just sheets of metal and built him from scratch up. They had what a semi-truck looked like, and then they just had a frame. It wasn't even like there wasn't really much to build off of just other than the frame. They built everything custom. This is a one-of-one truck. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, and the time, I think they got it done in, a couple weeks. It really didn't take long for what you'd think would take a while. It was impressive. I mean, and it looked great. It's one of my favorite Optimus Primes, especially since I just got one of the greatest Optimus Primes I've ever seen from Universal Studios, who came out with an exclusive for their Universal Studios Hollywood park. They have an exclusive of the 2007 Optimus Prime. Looked amazing in truck form. It's my best representation of what it looks like, and it's absolutely beautiful. If you guys go, definitely check that out. It's a reissue of the original exclusive made that it was reissued in 2021, I believe, but the original is, I believe, a 2011 version from the 2007 movie. It's really good. I would definitely advise going there and getting it if you want to. Now, obviously, the director is Michael Bay. It's absolutely, well known. They call it the Bayverse, and everybody pretty much calls it Michael Bay's Optimus Prime. Everyone knows director is Michael Bay. It was released specifically July 3rd, 2007. Roughly a month after my birthday, which would be roughly 11 months before I was born. So, yeah, the whole movie's actually older than me. Wow. Now, box offices. Here's what it made. In the U.S. alone, it made $319 million. Almost double what their budget was. Pretty good, I think. I don't know how it works. I think that's really good. International, it made $390 million. I think that's pretty good. It's only, 81 million more, believe, right? No, 71 million more. My bad. 71 million more. Not bad. U.S. made majority internationally. Worldwide, I think that's how it works, right? I don't know. Worldwide, 709 million. Pretty good. That's, almost 3 to 4 times the budget. Pretty good. And for its time, it was 5th behind Shrek. Not bad. Third. Oh, Shrek the Third. My bad. The typing was weird. Behind Shrek the Third. So Shrek 3. It was 5th behind Shrek 3. Not bad. And that was, Shrek was 4th. Spider-Man 3 was the 3rd. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was 2nd. Harry Potter fans very, very existent at that time. I don't know why I said existent. That's just what I came up with. Pirates of the Caribbean, a great series, was at the top at the time. And I think that's a great thing. But Transformers, personally, much better. You can make fun of me all I want. I will hold to it that movie and 3 out of the 5 in that series are good. Now, for the cast, we have now cast humans. I will go over the voices later. Our cast, starting with the one and only Shia LaBeouf. Absolutely great actor. Sam Witwicky, funny character. I know Michael Bay wasn't really known for his comedy. It was kind of a thing he wasn't really good at, but still tried anyways. This character, definitely really good. I like it. There were a couple scenes that were a bit weird from Michael Bay. He had the dogs humping each other at pretty much the beginning. Kind of weird, especially since the dog had a cast on and was disabled. That just made it worse. Although the dogs were funny a little bit later in the movie. Mochi, the dog's name is Mochi, the Sam's dog, peed on Ironhide's foot, and he started pointing his absolutely enormous and awesome guns at Mochi, and Sam had to beg him not to. Megan Fox as Michaela Baines. I think that's how you say it. I've never heard the name. I haven't watched it in a while. But Michaela Baines, great character. Everybody knows that scene where she gets under the hood of Bumblebee to check out the engine. That's kind of when you realize it's a bit of a weird car and it's kind of whacking out. As a human, you'd figure that out even if you weren't Sam Witwicky and knew that they were aliens by that point already. Next up, Josh Duhamel is Captain Lennox. Really cool character. Pretty much your stereotypical captain. It's really, I mean, if you were to take every single captain you've seen in a movie, put them together, and then, made it one big guy, that's 100% what he looks like. That's exactly what he looks like. Just perfect stereotype, and it works. It works really well. Great character. Next, Tyrese Gibson, USAF Tech Sergeant Epps. Definitely a great character. I love that character. I don't know much about some of those characters. I just know that most of them that I've seen in the movies, I think I more know them in the third movies. All those kind of special agent characters, definitely a lot better in those movies. First one, not so much. It's kind of just like average military. They become more of an essential role in the later movies. Next, we have Rachel Taylor, Maggie Madsen. I don't remember Maggie Madsen. I possibly do. I think everyone was roughly a great character, though, so I can't say much bad about her. Whoa. Sorry about that. Next, Anthony Anderson as Glenn Whitman. I don't know Glenn Whitman, I'm going to be honest. I don't know him at all. I haven't heard that one. John Voight, I think. Defense Secretary John Keller. Obviously kept the John name. Spelled differently, though. His name is Jon. The character's name is John. So, same pronunciation, just same name. Defense Secretary, pretty funny. I liked how they kind of treated the Defense Secretary. It was like, yeah, we don't care. We're the Autobots. We're just, yeah, we don't care. That was kind of funny. I like that. John Turturro as Agent Simmons. Agent Simmons was great. I loved Agent Simmons, the main agent out of all of them. Absolutely amazing. And then you have Julie White as Judy Witwicky. Judy Witwicky, pretty funny character. Later movies show how, the comedy of Michael Bay gets kind of worse as in later movies. I believe the third movie, she gets drunk or high at the college. And it's dumb. Kevin Dunn as Ron Witwicky. Other movies. Okay, now in this movie, he doesn't exactly look like the father of. He doesn't look like Sam Witwicky's father or would be the father of Shia LaBeouf. But in other versions that you see, like Seinfeld, when you see him in Seinfeld, 100% looks like he'd be the dad of Sam Witwicky or Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, he perfect looks like he would be the dad. It's insane. And this one, just, a lot older than Seinfeld now, but he doesn't exactly look too much like the father, but it works. I'm not going to complain, but obviously aging hit and it makes sense, so I can't argue. Now, Bernie Mac as Bobby Bolivia. I couldn't tell you who that is or who that is in both ways. Probably a great character because I have no problems with any characters in the movie. Now, our voice cast, the really good part. We have our all-time favorite across the board for almost everyone. I think every sane person. Peter Cullen, obviously the one and only great Optimus Prime. Now, other people have been Optimus Prime in other movies and TV shows. Just Peter Cullen is the best. I mean, that's all I can say. There's no one that can compare to his Optimus Prime voice. Now, in Transformers 1, Chris Hemsworth did portray a very good younger Optimus Prime, or Orion Pax. But he is not Optimus Prime. I'd have to really see him go into that somewhat deeper and, leadership kind of voice. Peter Cullen just has it naturally, which, if you didn't know, Peter Cullen actually got that voice from I believe his brother. It was either his friend or his brother when he was off to auditions, and his brother was a veteran. And he told his brother that he was going to be a hero, the voice actor of a truck, and the truck was a hero. And Peter Cullen had, after telling him that, his brother had said, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. And so that whole time on his way, that was stuck in his head. Whole time he was trying to mimic it until he got it just right. When he got to auditions, got him that as the Optimus Prime role. And so to this day, he's been the greatest Optimus Prime into the 2007 Optimus Prime Transformers. Now, Bumblebee honestly doesn't exactly have a voice. Some lines are just kind of, you need a voice. Other ones are, other people saying things or other quotes from other movies. But he does have a voice actor for when it is quotes, well, fake quotes from radio shows and stuff. Mark Ryan. Now, I couldn't tell you which quotes are not actual quotes and which ones are. I can tell you some of the ones that are because I know them from other things, but I couldn't tell you which ones aren't and are actually Mark Ryan. But honestly, that's how good it is. You can't even tell. It's really good. So on to the next one. Darius McCrary, and then Cray. I don't know why I'm having trouble pronouncing that. He is the not so long lasted character, Jazz. Sadly, he didn't get much screen time. We do, however, later on see that in comic books, that he lasted a bit longer prior to the movie, of course, to his death in the movie, of course. And I think he looks really good. He does have a visor on, visor off mode to, see his eyes. His visor is definitely the more well-known one, especially since in comic books, TV series, anything like that, he's always had that visor on. I think a couple Japan remakes don't have the visor, and that's it. Most of them do. Everyone really knows him by his visor. I mean, you just look at him. Oh, Jazz. Easy. Sadly, as I said, he does die. He asks if Megatron wants a piece of him. No. I want 2 pieces. And he dies. Technically, I don't think he would have died, especially since Autobots have survived worse. But it's for the story. He is a smaller one. There's, I don't think they could have done much. It probably would have gotten a worse reaction if he lived past that. That would be kind of weird. So he does die. But for the most part, when you do see him, great character. Has pretty good dance moves. Jazz, obviously. Pretty good dance moves when he does like some of his spins. It's pretty much his way of combat is dance. It's really cool. Next is Robert Foxworth as Ratchet. One of the greatest Ratchet voices. I think my next favorite would have been Transformers Prime. But yeah, Robert Foxworth as Ratchet. He does have a couple funny moments. Most notably when he says the boy's pheromones. I don't know the exact. I can't think of the word. Suggest that he wants to mate with the female. And that's pretty funny, especially since it makes the scene awkward for the humans, Sam Witwicky and Michaela Baines. But aside from that, the scene is pretty funny. And, the other Transformers don't know that that's kind of a weird thing to say in front of people. But it does work. And it really shows his, how fast he can analyze a species, which really puts him in that higher ranking of intellectable individuals. Because even Optimus Prime struggles to understand some of the human species, while Ratchet is just like, oh, yeah, that's just them. So I think that's pretty interesting. Definitely a great medical officer. We have Jess Harnell as both Ironhide and Barricade. Ironhide, great character, gets some better quotes in later movies, specifically the very next movie. Most notable quote is when he calls the Decepticons a Decepticon punk. Absolutely amazing voice. I absolutely love it. Barricade. I do feel like the voice is kind of weird. It does work though. The way that they made him look like a monster. They didn't even try to make him look somewhat human. I mean, lanky arms, almost like it's almost like what they tried to do with some of the other Decepticons, where they literally turned them into beasts. I believe that happened in the third movie, not the fourth, because the fourth had the New Age Decepticons, which were made from repurposed Autobots and Decepticons. That was kind of weird. Now, if you weren't knowing of this, originally Prowl was going to be in the movie, and if you don't know who Prowl is, it is, in most iterations, Barricade is actually when Prowl is a Decepticon. Prowl is pretty much Barricade as an Autobot. He's a good guy. He's a police officer. In the original series, such as comic books and the G1 show, other things that I'm not too sure of, most likely, he appears as a pretty much a recolor of other Autobots, such as Smokescreen or other Decepticons that I can't remember the name of. Obviously, Barricade, he'd look like Barricade. But Smokescreen and Prowl have the same look, just different colors. Smokescreen is a race car. Prowl is a police car. Yet they're the same type of car. So they're normally the same. But Prowl was originally going to be in the movie, but they decided that they didn't have enough Decepticons. So they decided to go with the Decepticon origin of Prowl and stick to Barricade, which definitely worked. I would have loved to see if they've released it. I haven't found it. I would love to see what Prowl would have looked like in the movie, because I think that's really cool. I believe there's a toy. Normally, when they come up with people to put in movies, they do toys. Michael Bay did a lot of toys of figures that didn't appear in movies because people loved the characters. I think Prowl was one of them. Prowl might have a toy. I've just never seen it or seen the concept art. I have heard of, I know it exists, I haven't seen it, the Michael Bay Sea Spray version. He never appeared in the movies. He was supposedly in off-world combat, but he did exist within the universe. He did get a character, and I know he appeared in the comic books. I just haven't seen the comic books. So Sea Spray does exist. Never seen, but does exist. So I'm hoping that happened with Prowl, because I absolutely love Prowl. Now, we have an amazing voice for Megatron, Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving was absolutely amazing voice of Megatron. I do believe they switched back to Frank Welker for the second and third movie. I'm not sure about the fourth and fifth movie. They possibly stayed with Frank Welker, but I believe they did make that switch to Frank Welker after the first movie. Frank Welker being the original voice of Megatron in the G1 series. Frank Welker, absolutely amazing voice actor, but Hugo Weaving definitely did really good, especially since Frank Welker was that higher-pitched voice. This was a much deeper, more menacing voice. Really well done. Absolutely love it. Whoa. Next, we have Bone Crusher, which I don't remember any voices. I know he grunts a lot. Bone Crusher by Jimmy Wood. Bone Crusher, I couldn't say that the voice actor was really great, since I only remember a few grunts. But I absolutely love the character itself. The character, especially when he destroys the bus on that freeway, it's absolutely amazing. That battle with Optimus Prime, where he eventually gets his head ripped off, that's pretty crazy. But that's really cool. Although, somehow, in the Transformers ride at Universal, Bone Crusher does survive, which is very weird. Bone Crusher actually survives and chases you down a little bit within the Transformers 3D ride, which is really cool if you don't remember that he dies. But it's really cool in the ride. Optimus Prime in that fight, definitely really cool. And of course, you got a view of someone in the car with a kid. The kid would 100% be me. Seeing robots fighting on the freeway, I'd be like, whoa! And of course, my mom's like, oh my gosh, why are there robots fighting on the freeway? That's 100% how it would be. But I'd absolutely love a robot fight on the freeway. So obviously there's some realism to that part, and I think that's actually really interesting. Next, we have another kind of monsterish looking character, kind of like Barricade. This one, you might be surprised, is a henchman of normally Soundwave, But this time he's actually Soundwave. I don't even believe is in this movie. In fact, he's not in the movies until the third one. I don't think he might be in the second one. I might have to double check that, but I don't think he fully appears. Oh, he is in the second one. Not much. Fully appears in the third movie. But yeah, he's actually not with Soundwave this time, and that is Frenzy. Normally paired with and swapped with Rumble a lot. In fact, sometimes they even change colors for no reason. Probably just an error, but they do end up changing colors or just change names. I don't know. But yeah, Frenzy or mixed up with Rumble sometimes. But Frenzy, voiced by Reno Wilson. This one, and a little bit of voice lines, mostly just mumbling again. But this one is definitely more a distinguishable voice if you were to hear it. And also the first time you hear the transforming sequence, I believe, which is you hear the original, a kind of distorted version of the original Transformers transforming sound effect when they go from bot to car or car to bot. You hear that. It's absolutely really cool. He also gets these weird shurikens as weapons. Also, instead of being a cassette, because they decided that size changing just wasn't fit for the movie, he is actually I believe a boombox or whatever those, I can't remember, like a stereo kind of thing. That's what he is. And he also ends up fitting inside of Barricade, of course, but he is actually small. He's closer to a kid size. I think he's like 4 feet tall. He's not exactly very tall. So he's definitely closer to human size, and he doesn't get bigger, and he doesn't get smaller. He just transforms into that little boombox. And I believe there's only one toy that they made for that, and I really want them to remake it because it was really well done, aside from the weird chest cavity they gave him. Because instead of having the disc shoot out of his arms or something like that, they decided to put a whole disc launcher in his chest, vertically. So it's not horizontally like this. It's vertically going from his waist to his neck that shoots these discs. How do they hide it in the boombox mode? Absolutely no clue. I don't have the figure. I really want it, though. It's a really well done figure. I really wish they made another one, but it's absolutely amazing. He does end up, I believe he kills a couple people. Not too many, though. He kills a couple people. But a really well done character. Reno Wilson's voice for all those mumbling and the Cybertronian speech that they put in there. Definitely really good and distinguishable voice. Now, next, his real name, Dorito. The technical name, Starscream. Voiced by Charlie Adler. Charlie Adler, I love you, man. This was not for you, because they went with all the deeper voices for everybody, and then Starscream gets the high pitch voice. Now, the whole character was weird, so I guess it's fine. But I was kind of hoping for something slightly more menacing as the second in command. Well, thinks he's second in command guy. Now the high pitch is annoying, but I think it just kind of gets too annoying. And even for not being on screen, it's a little weird. I think they should have gone with a slightly deeper voice. I like raspy more than I do high pitched. Raspy would have been a lot better because raspy isn't exactly high pitched. It just sounds high pitched. And this was just straight high pitched. It was kind of weird. Didn't like it much. Didn't like the whole character much because he's just a Dorito. And in fact, the toy of him arriving to Earth shows that he chose to be a Dorito because they can kind of change their body shape when they scan a vehicle mode. He could have just not been a Dorito. His meteor form, it didn't end up looking even close to a Dorito. He looked more like Armada Starscream, just without wings. So he had a really thin body, which I would have preferred over him being a whole Dorito. He was pretty much this. And just imagine triangles down to the waist. Never do that again. All right? I hate that. I knocked off his arm. I'm going to have to put that back. But yeah, I don't like Starscream. Now, specifically, The movie's storyline I'd like to get into. We start off with Sam Witwicky. You can't even tell it's a Transformers movie until a little while later. It's more like a malfunctioning car movie for a little while. Because Sam Witwicky, first off, we see him that he's going to college. And, not to college, sorry. He's at the end of his high school years and might be going off to college soon. But for a presentation in high school, he's pretty much selling some of his grandpa's stuff, hoping to get some money off of it. Kind of dumb, but for a desperate high schooler, that kind of makes sense. That's more of a freshman thing, though, not a senior guy thing. So he must be really desperate. But he did do that. Then we get his father taking him to a Porsche shop. Doesn't get a Porsche. No. Of course, who would get a Porsche for their son's first car? A rich person. They're not rich. I mean, they possibly are because they have a 2-story home and a really big backyard. They do a lot of custom stuff. They have cable. A lot of people cut their cable, so they must be rich. I mean, come on. And then you have them going off to a car resale store or lot or whatever. And he's looking at these older cars and sees the yellow and black striped racing car. And he's like, what about this one? And the most they'll do is $4,000. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he bumps up the price because that car's never been there. There's no market. Obviously, that car just got there. And you can tell from a previous scene that the car just got there because you watch it roll into the lot. But he overprices the car, definitely. So they start to move on. And as soon as they start to move on, the car releases a sonic boom, which, really high-pitched sound, breaks all the glass in every car, except for its own, of course, and then opens the door on its own to start denting the car next to it. Definitely a really weird car. We also see that it has the Autobot logo on this steering wheel, so we know this is going to be somebody. At the time, we don't know because there was a buggy next to it, the buggy being the original version of Bumblebee. When I first saw that scene, I thought, oh, that's going to be Bumblebee on the left. And then they just abandon the car and get the striped car. Granted, the striped car was pretty cool once you get used to it. But, you know, I was kind of hoping for a G1 Bumblebee, and a lot of people probably were too. Then we have the car start freaking out. After that, actually, we have the car decide to run off on its own after a little while of being normal. And, of course, it also decides to play sounds and music on its own when girls in the car with Sam Witwicky. And then, of course, when she's also walking off, he decides to play Baby Come Back. Of course, and she gets back in the car. They go home. Later, that's when the car actually runs off on its own in order to send out the Autobot call. And that's when Sam is following his... Well, he wasn't following the car at first. He was being chased. Then they went home. Then the car followed... Then he followed the car. And the car sent out the Autobot logo where he would be following it and chased by dogs. Later, he would be trying to figure out what's going on. Barricade finds him, asks about the glasses, and Bumblebee comes in, saves the day. Michaela ends up there. I'm not sure how. I think she followed him secretly, but ends up there, and they both get in the car, and then he decides that, oh, Michaela should sit on my lap. That was pretty funny. You know, his excuse? You need a seatbelt. So she sits on his lap, has a seatbelt, and then she's like, why would this alien choose this rusty old car? Like, you know, it's a horrible car. So Bumblebee kicks them both out, goes off, and then Sam Witwicky is like, oh no, we just got abandoned by my car. I'm never going to get that back. Comes back as this brand new, I believe a Chevy again. Brand new Chevy. Absolutely amazing. Still keeps the racing stripes, but it is a real sports car this time. Brand new. Absolutely beautiful. Which, if you were wondering, ran into a police car. An official police car on set once. And they actually made a recolor of, I believe, I forget which Decepticon. I think they did a recolor of Barricade just for that set because that was a pretty funny moment. Not funny for the police officer since they, ran on set and ran into a really expensive car. Luckily, they had a second Bumblebee on the scene already and didn't have to call for backup. Now, after that, Bumblebee saves them, I'm trying to think of where I left off. Bumblebee gets a new car. Absolutely amazing. And then Bumblebee and all of them head into this alley where later they see the Autobots arrive. The Autobots get their first transformation where you meet all of them. Ratchet gets a cool entrance as he crashes in, I believe, a nearby baseball field. And the paramedics are there, and he gets the ambulance. And weirdly enough, I don't know exactly where they are that would have a green ambulance, but it was green. Why? Whoa. Why? I don't know why they made it green. I think, but I mean, seeing the recolors into a white and red ambulance, the green just sits better with that Ratchet. It's a lot better. The red and white just doesn't work, or even the white and red doesn't work like a ambulance fire truck. That doesn't even work. The green just sits right. So it was a very good decision. Then we also see Jazz choosing his form. Optimus Prime mistaken for the Tooth Fairy. Now, he crashed into that pool. How did the pool not get destroyed, and how was the water just totally fine in the pool? I don't know. I don't think he actually landed in the pool. I feel like he just crawled in there because he wanted to. He needed to cool off from that, entering the atmosphere. Very hot process. Needed to cool off. And then, of course, getting his truck mode. Very cool. We also see Ironhide getting his GMC truck. GMC's truck, really good. Again, I don't have that figure. I really want that one too, but it's okay. After that, we have a few interactions with the CIA, I guess. Sector 7, of course. They do not exist. They just, they're ghosts. They just, I think Witwicky was kind of weird. Something about Sector 7 taking them away and then having to work with it. They don't exist. Just messing. That's what they say in the movie. Now, they decide to first try and find Sam Witwicky, which they do pretty easily, and then they start asking him about his car and aliens. And he says nothing at first, and then everything's getting taken away, and all of a sudden, the Autobots stop them and handcuff them to a pole and get off. And, of course, being the CIA, everything was already pre-planned. They knew something was going to happen. They had backup, stopped the Autobots. Sadly, Bumblebee gets taken down and cryo-freezed and put in Sector 7 for safekeeping. The Autobots go a lot of the movie without seeing him after that. Later on, they will end up getting Bumblebee back. It's a pretty long process, though. We have a lot of stuff to go through before then. Next, we have them evacuate. Now, they were all here because of the Allspark. The Allspark that was imprinted on Sam Witwicky's grandfather's glasses. How did they get there? He stumbled across Megatron, where Megatron's map got imprinted onto the glasses. Now, to get the glasses, pretty long process too. They were in that room for a little while, and of course, we have a weird interaction. Of course, two parents finding their teenage son alone in a room in night with a girl. That's that's just one of those scenes, I guess. And of course, they're trying to rush him along. Garden gets ruined by all the Autobots. It's pretty sad, especially since they just put it together. And then they're all trying to hide in plain sight horribly because they're all really expensive vehicles and a huge custom semi-truck sitting in someone's backyard that's destroyed. And the orientation of the vehicles obviously doesn't make sense either if you're going to get that in-depth into it. And eventually they do end up with the glasses after he finds them in a box, I believe. But Ratchet decides that he's not going to watch where he's stepping and runs right into the electrical wires, knocking out the lights of the city. Now, there's a lot of stumbling, and Sam Witwicky's parents believe it's an earthquake. Well, the dad does. The mom doesn't really do much, and he's trying to get her to hide. But they do think it's an earthquake, but it ends up all fine. I am doing a bit out of order. I'm just going by as soon as I remember it anyways. That's right. I forgot to mention one of the greatest entrances to a Transformer I've seen, Blackout, in the movie. I believe that's his name. Blackout gets a great entrance. It might also be Thundercracker. I forget which one they go with. I think it's Blackout, though. Great helicopter and transformation. I do have a smaller figure that does the transformation. Works pretty well. I do wish I had the bigger, more detailed figure. Again, I don't have it. But it's really neat how he also does that Transformer sound from the TV show before he transform. But he gets insane. This is when you first see the capability of these weapons. He destroys hundreds of tanks in the military. I mean, he's taking gunfire, missiles, rockets, and he has a personal EMP. It's insane. Now, obviously, he was in another, I believe he was in a whole other nation when he actually got his vehicle form, because the helicopter was way outshore and was actually supposedly taken down by him, and it was never reported back. But when he came back after they heard that the helicopter had crashed, they're like, oh, this can't be. I think that was a pretty good entrance to the character. Later, we see one of the great fights between Optimus Prime and Megatron, where they're fighting in the city. Absolutely amazing. And Megatron pulls off this insane flip into his jet form. Absolutely amazing jet form. One of the few things you kind of expect from Megatron, because he was a gun. Obviously, he's not itty-bitty, so he's not going to turn into that gun. He's going to be something huge. Turns into that crazy ship, and Optimus Prime just jumps and grabs on and starts beating him into other buildings. It's awesome. And I think one of the few things was, I don't know what I'm going on. The next movie, though, for some reason, Megatron becomes a tank. I don't know how. I don't know why. But he does, instead of his jet. But he does become a tank instead of a jet. I personally think the jet is a lot cooler. Tank was still really cool, but the jet was cooler. They also had a reference to Optimus Prime grabbing that jet in Transformers 1 in the race, where Optimus Prime jumped up and grabbed one of the jets in the same fashion that Optimus Prime had grabbed Megatron in this movie. So I think that's pretty neat. Transformers 1 takes away a lot from Transformers 2007. Now, for the new designs, a lot of people didn't like them because they weren't like G1. Optimus Prime, definitely not that square, bulky Optimus Prime. Like I said, more of a metal skeleton with some armor on him. And I think that's really cool, especially since in the second movie, later in the second movie, not earlier, because earlier is the same Optimus Prime. Later in the second movie, and later on in third movie, fourth movie, fifth movie, he gets abs. Like, awesome abs. That's really cool. I think it's really cool. Bumblebee, they kind of tease the buggy, like I said earlier, but I really like the character anyways. Definitely a great character. Now, Jazz, definitely one of the weirder characters. Only thing was his head that was kind of recognizable. His shortness was a bit weird, and his transformation was a bit weird. If you have the toy, you know that, because it loves to come apart a lot. And at like the feet, not the waist in the movie. It definitely likes to come apart a lot, though. Other one, Ratchet, definitely a great design. Like I said, the green sticks. Absolutely beautiful green. Other things, though, he did get like some medical equipment, like a saw for cutting up and stuff. And in comic books, you actually see that Ratchet's new design, he is able to put together people again. He's fixed multiple people. I believe between movie 3 and 4, he fixes Optimus Prime's arm. We also have him, he's supposedly able to combine other Transformers as well, but I don't have the comics. I can't confirm or deny that. I've only heard. Ironhide, definitely a great design. He's a bit more flimsy as a character. Most of his arms are the cannons, so if you take away the cannons, they look a bit disproportional, but it does work. I really like the character. Starscream can go to hell. he can be stuck in a pit of fire. I do not want that Dorito Starscream in my life. Megatron, great character. Barricade, monster, but great character. And Blackout, great character. Now, for the special effects, I'm not sure what an EMP actually looks like. I don't think an EMP is as visible as that giant blue explosion that comes out of Blackout, but really cool looking. Also, the explosions, very good. Also, the metal tinging, not every single shot got those sparks because some of them, they just lodged into a part and just sat there. They wouldn't get sparks. Other ones did ting off and got that spark. The guns were not overly bright like in a lot of movies I've seen. Like, they'll be like white shots. These ones weren't overly bright and casting light pretty much. These ones were definitely more like shots. You also had the green night vision in some of the scenes. Very good. Other things like the buildings coming apart and somewhat collapsing when they're getting hit and run into. Very cool. The bridges being able to stay up through a whole fight. I don't know how well bridges are built, but those ones must be amazing because Optimus Prime was swinging on them like monkey bars sometimes. I mean, that was pretty good. Also, Optimus Prime hiding under the bridge. And you had, every single little dust, like his hand would slip a little bit and there'd be dust falling out. Really well done special effects. There's nothing wrong with any of the special effects that I've seen. Now, music. Some of the music, I feel like, sorry, not some of the music. I think some of the scenes were missing a bit of music. Like, it doesn't have to be loud. It can be background music. But I feel like some scenes were just kind of missing that. The movie felt a bit quiet sometimes. Now, certain areas were supposed to feel quiet, and they were quiet. I love that. But other ones where there was just no music, I wish it had music sometimes. But all the music, absolutely amazing, especially Arrival to Earth. Best Transformers music I've heard. They also turned it into the Autobot theme or Optimus Prime theme in later movies. And then they also did a remake of it in Transformers Rise of the Beast, which, disappointing use, honestly. It was short. It was a bit different because the Maximals theme teased it the whole time, which, made it so much worse when they used it at such a weird spot. There was so much they could do with that, and they just didn't do it in the right spot. But that's not this movie. Arrival to Earth, definitely like a really good place to put it. Definitely a really good song. Absolutely. Overall, great music for the movie. I'm going to take a sip real quick. Now, if you might be wondering, is it style over substance? Quality over time? All right. I'm going to answer that question. And I think this one was definitely style over substance. I believe Optimus Prime got less than 13 minutes of screen time, but so much remains in my memory that it feels like he was just the whole movie itself. Same with some of the other characters. They feel like you see a lot more of them, and you see maybe a few minutes. And that's a lot of movies. But some characters, you're like, oh, they were only in there for a few seconds. They were in there for like 20 minutes. What are you talking about? Definitely style over substance in this one. Quality over quantity and time. Definitely, especially the CGI. I haven't seen that good CGI. And if you are wondering why they look a bit weird, Optimus Prime specifically, I don't know about the other ones. It's possible the other ones say this as well. They modeled him to make sure everything fit within the truck. There was zero overlays. There was zero packing in separate areas. There was nothing unrealistic about his transformation. They made sure everything went from one place to another with a specific system in a specific way that it was the truck. There was no changes between the truck and him. There wasn't adding, there wasn't subtracting, there wasn't mushing like his hands weren't in the same spot or something. Everything was like perfect down to the last pixel of him. It was perfect. That's how they made him. Definitely quality right there. Now, the human characters. Like I said, I don't know most of them, but the Witwickies and Michaela, very good characters. I also love some of the agents. The agents are the best characters. And, of course, the commander. The commander, pretty much your stereotypical guy. I love everything. So, I don't know how long I've been talking. I didn't keep track of time, and I don't have a way to keep track of time. I think I've been going for a little while. So I think it's time I give you what I think on this movie. Now, we have 2 grading systems. Something out of 10 and F to an A. And, of course, whether I'd like to recommend it to you or not. Now, first, 1 out of 10, what do I give this movie? I do think there are some fixes. I hate Dorito Starscream, and the voice was too annoying. I think it should have been more raspy than annoying. But overall, I'd say this is a 9, maybe even a 9.5. Great movie. Letter grade, definitely an A. I think a 9.5 out of 10 is technically close enough to be an A plus as well. But I'm going to say A because A plus is going to say, my perfect movie, A plus. So this is A. Now, if you ask me, people hate the second movie. Next time I rate that, I'll definitely tell you that's an A plus. But this one, A for now. Do I recommend this movie? I absolutely recommend this movie. This is a great movie, especially since you need to get to the second one. But definitely start with this one. The second one loses some of its qualities if you haven't seen the first one. So definitely go watch this movie, and next time I'll tell you to go watch the second one. For now, that's all I have to say. Good night, positively, Pat Sims Show. Or whatever we call it now. I know we changed it. So long.
Lights are dim, but the room still hums with the echoes of laughter and the moments we spun. Every honest word is like a stone in a stream. It rippled, it lingered, it shaped our dream. And if you ever wonder where I'll be, look to the screen, I'll be there, you'll see. Goodbye to the faces that stayed in the glow. Goodbye to the voices I always know. This isn't an end, just a bend in the road. Goodbye for now, my friends, my show. The cameras rolled and the stories grew. Each review a mirror of me and you. Through coffee stains and late night calls, we built a world behind these walls. And if you ever wonder where I'll be, look to the screen, I'll be there, you'll see. Goodbye to the faces that stayed in the glow. Goodbye to the voices I'll always know. This isn't an end, just a bend in the screen.